Love your potatoes but not so keen on the digging part? Then grow them in straw. It's very straightforward to do, your plants will be just as healthy and harvesting will be even easier. Hi, I'm Ben Van Heems, and on this channel we share the best tips for growing an easy and productive garden. Right, best get this lot planted then.
Straw does away with much of the digging associated with traditional methods of potato growing. Planting is even simpler, while harvesting requires less effort. The thick layer required does a fantastic job of suppressing weeds, helps keep the ground cooler in hot weather, and will eventually break down to contribute to soil structure and fertility. Normally, potato plants are hilled or earthed up, when the soil is drawn up against the stem in order to create more space for the tubers to grow. This also reduces the risk of them making their way to the surface and turning green in the light. But straw can give exactly the same results. You'll still need to prepare the ground first. Remove any weeds, and if you haven't already done so, consider adding some well-rotted organic matter, such as garden compost, to the soil. Break up any large clods to leave a more even surface, and rake level.
Potatoes are hungry plants, so for this reason I also like to scatter over some chicken manure pellets, or in this case an organic potato fertiliser, just before planting time.
Use purpose-sold seed potatoes, which are guaranteed to be free of any disease issues, giving you a clean start at least. After a cool winter, you'll get better results if you sprout or chit your potatoes before planting. Just support them so the majority of the eyes, these dimples here, face up. Then leave them in a bright, frost-free place to sprout for anywhere up to 6 weeks ahead of planting. This primes them to grow, earning you a head start. I prefer to plant my seed potatoes whole, but there's no harm in cutting each seed potato in two, so long as each piece has at least one eye, though preferably more. Allow the cut to heal over and dry over a couple of days before planting.
And planting them couldn't be easier. Just push them into the prepared ground at their usual spacings. About 1.5 foot, that's 45 centimetres apart in both directions for main crop potatoes, and a little less than that for early varieties. All I'm doing is just nuzzling them down into the soil enough to support them so they don't topple over, and that's it.
All positioned, it's now time to cover them with the straw, breaking and fluffing it apart as you go. Aim for a depth of around 2 to 3 inches, that's 5 to 8 centimetres. Stop the straw from blowing away by laying sticks, canes or a temporary mesh over the top. Once the straw's laid, give it a water to dampen it. The straw should help to keep soil moisture relatively consistent.
If you're unsure where to source straw bales from, a good place to start is with websites like Gumtree or Craigslist, or just try asking around. I got the straw I've used behind me as a result of a simple call out on social media, and it's been recycled from a previous project, so I'm getting 2 uses out of it. You could of course use hay in place of straw if it's easier to find, but make sure it's organic or at least comes from pasture that wasn't recently treated with herbicides. You hear all sorts of horror stories of crops being severely damaged or even killed as a result of herbicide residues. You have been warned.
Your potatoes need very little ongoing care. Pull back the straw occasionally to check soil moisture and water if it's dry. Water through the straw, aiming to keep the straw itself consistently moist too. Once the foliage reaches about 6 inches or 15 centimetres above the straw or hay, add another layer deep enough to leave just the tips poking through. They'll soon put on masses of leafy growth to cover the entire area. Start harvesting the smallest or new potatoes as the plants come into flower. Then lift potatoes as needed, with the bulk of the crop enjoyed as the foliage begins to die back and soon after. Plants may come away from the ground easily when you pull it straight up, gripping firmly at the base of the foliage. Otherwise, use a fork to carefully encourage the plants out. The straw that's left behind will have already begun breaking down to nourish the soil. Leave it where it is, rake it up to redeploy as mulch elsewhere, or retire it to the compost heap.
I can't wait to tuck into the first of my potatoes, a prized treat if ever there was one. Growing potatoes in straw worked beautifully last year, I have to say, but I'd love to know how you get on with this method, so don't be shy in sharing your experiences below. Or, for more potato-sized pearls of wisdom, I invite you to peruse our potato playlist. There's everything in there from choosing what to grow, to how to grow potatoes in containers and bags, to what to do about the dreaded blight. All very handy stuff, I promise you. I'll catch you next time.